Life often convinces us that our limits are fixed, that pain defines us, and that hardship is something to avoid at all costs. But what if the very struggles we fear are the key to unlocking our hidden potential? In Can't Hurt Me, David Goggins takes us on an extraordinary journey through a life marked by abuse, poverty, racism, and failure, yet transformed into one of the most inspiring stories of resilience, mental toughness, and triumph over adversity. Goggins, a retired Navy SEAL and ultramarathon runner, shares his raw truth without sugarcoating the pain. His story is not about natural talent or luck, it is about discipline, grit, and the power of mastering the mind. Through brutal honesty and relentless self-accountability, he demonstrates how we can all push far beyond what we believe is possible. One of his most powerful ideas, the 40% rule, reveals that when you think you've reached your limit, you've only tapped into a fraction of your true capacity. This book is more than a memoir, it is a challenge. Goggins invites us to confront our fears, build mental calluses, and stop settling for mediocrity. He shows that failure is not the end, but a stepping stone to greatness, and that pain, when embraced, becomes fuel for growth. In this summary, we'll break down the core lessons of Can't Hurt Me and explore how you can apply them in your own life to push past limits and discover your untapped strength. So if you're ready to be inspired, challenged, and equipped with tools to break free from excuses, stay tuned. This book may just change the way you see yourself forever.
Childhood, the foundation of pain. David Goggins' story begins with a childhood scarred by abuse, poverty, and fear. Born into a violent household, he endured years of physical and emotional torment from his father, who ruled with cruelty and control. This environment forced him to grow up in constant survival mode, shaping an early life defined more by trauma than by innocence. Outside the home, Goggins also faced the weight of racism and bullying. Being one of the few African American children in his community, he was regularly demeaned and excluded. These experiences created deep feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt, making him feel invisible and powerless. School offered little refuge. Struggling academically, he often felt as though the world had already decided his future. Yet, within this chaos, the foundation for his later strength was quietly being built. The constant pain and instability taught Goggins how to endure, how to adapt, and how to develop resilience in the face of overwhelming odds. Although he didn't fully realize it at the time, these hardships became a form of training, preparing him for the brutal challenges he would later choose in the military, athletics, and life. Childhood, the foundation of pain, reveals how suffering can either break a person or forge them into something stronger. For Goggins, it planted the seeds of toughness and endurance, lessons he would carry throughout his journey. His early years prove that even the darkest beginnings can become the groundwork for extraordinary transformation.
The accountability mirror. After years of running from his pain, David Goggins hit a breaking point as a teenager. Overweight, insecure, and struggling in school, he realized he'd been hiding behind excuses. This was when he discovered the practice that would transform his life, the accountability mirror. Each night, he stood in front of the mirror and confronted the brutal truth about who he was. Instead of avoiding his flaws, he wrote them down on sticky notes, his weight, his laziness, his fear, his lies, and placed them on the mirror so he couldn't escape them. But alongside the criticism, he also wrote goals, small, achievable steps that would help him change. Losing a few pounds, studying harder, or facing his fears became tasks he could hold himself accountable to. The mirror became both a weapon and a coach. It forced Goggins to strip away denial and face his reflection with raw honesty. There was no one else to blame, no easy way out, only ownership of his choices. Through this process, he learned that growth requires discomfort and that accountability is the foundation of discipline. This chapter reminds us that lasting transformation doesn't begin with talent or luck, but with self-honesty. By identifying weaknesses and taking consistent action to overcome them, anyone can start reshaping their life. The accountability mirror is not just about criticism. It is about responsibility, courage, and the willingness to confront who you are today to build who you want to become tomorrow.
The impossible task. Navy SEAL training. When David Goggins set his sights on becoming a Navy SEAL, the goal seemed impossible. At the time, he was overweight, undisciplined, and far from the elite standards required. To even qualify, he had to shed over 100 pounds in just 3 months, a feat most would consider unattainable. But through relentless work, grueling workouts, and sheer determination, he transformed his body and mindset to meet the entrance standards. The true test began with BUD-S training, the infamous Navy SEAL selection course designed to push candidates past the breaking point. Days were filled with brutal physical demands, freezing waters, endless runs, and sleepless nights. The majority of recruits quit, unable to withstand the relentless pressure. Goggins faced injury, exhaustion, and constant temptation to give up. But he leaned on the resilience built from his painful childhood and his commitment to hold himself accountable. He failed multiple times, suffering broken bones and setbacks that forced him to restart training. Yet, instead of seeing failure as the end, he treated it as fuel. Each return strengthened his resolve and deepened his mental calluses. Ultimately, he earned his place as one of the few to survive the process and become a Navy SEAL. This chapter demonstrates that what seems impossible often reflects the limits of the mind, not the body. Goggins shows that by breaking goals into smaller steps, embracing suffering, and refusing to quit, we can achieve what others deem unattainable. The impossible task isn't about talent. It's about persistence, resilience, and the courage to endure.
The 40% rule. One of the most powerful lessons David Goggins shares is the 40% rule. Through his experiences in ultra-endurance events, Navy SEAL training, and extreme challenges, Goggins realized that when most people feel they've reached their physical or mental limit, they've only tapped into about 40% of their true potential. The mind gives up far before the body is truly exhausted. Goggins explains that the human brain often acts as a governor, convincing us to quit in order to protect us from perceived danger or discomfort. This mental barrier keeps us safe, but it also prevents growth. By recognizing that the first wave of fatigue, fear, or doubt is just the mind's trickery, we can push further and discover hidden reserves of strength. He illustrates this rule through his own life. During grueling endurance events, Navy SEAL Hell Week, and other extreme trials, Goggins deliberately ignored the voice telling him to stop. He visualized goals, embraced the pain, and forced himself to go beyond what seemed possible. Over time, this practice rewired his mind, allowing him to endure feats that would break most people. The 40% rule is more than a motivational idea, it's a strategy for life. It reminds us that discomfort is a signal for growth, not retreat. By challenging self-imposed limits and refusing to quit when it hurts, we expand our capacity to achieve extraordinary things. Goggins urges readers to recognize the gap between perceived limits and true potential, to embrace pain, and to push past the 40% mark. In doing so, we discover that the human spirit is far stronger than we ever imagined.
Calloused mind. In Calloused Mind, David Goggins explains that true mental toughness is not innate. It is built through repeated exposure to discomfort and adversity. Just as hands develop calluses through physical labor, the mind develops resilience through challenge. Goggins argues that most people avoid pain, hardship, and struggle, which leaves them mentally fragile and unprepared for life's inevitable obstacles. He shares personal stories from his life where enduring extreme physical and emotional challenges strengthened his mental resolve. Whether it was the relentless grind of Navy SEAL training, ultramarathon races, or the personal battles of his youth, each trial forced him to confront fear, fatigue, and self-doubt. By deliberately seeking out these experiences, he calloused his mind, making it nearly impervious to intimidation and discomfort. A calloused mind does not mean being numb to pain. Rather, it means being capable of continuing in spite of it. Goggins emphasizes that suffering is a teacher. Those who embrace it grow stronger, while those who shy away remain limited by fear. He encourages adopting a mindset of ownership, self-discipline, and accountability, using adversity as a tool rather than a setback. This chapter reinforces a central theme of the book. Mental toughness is a skill, not a trait. By repeatedly facing challenges and refusing to quit, we can train our minds to endure far beyond what we once thought possible. Goggins' calloused mind philosophy is a blueprint for anyone looking to push past pain, defy limitations, and develop resilience that lasts a lifetime.
Taking souls. In Taking Souls, David Goggins introduces a concept he developed during his grueling military and endurance challenges: the power of psychological dominance over others. Taking souls isn't about harming anyone. It's about proving through relentless effort and unbreakable spirit that no obstacle or adversary can defeat you. By outlasting, outperforming, and outworking everyone around you, you gain a quiet but undeniable form of victory, control over the narrative of challenge itself. Goggins explains that in high-stress situations, whether in Navy SEAL training, ultra-endurance races, or other extreme tests, most people focus on themselves and complain about pain or fatigue. He deliberately embraced suffering and pushed harder when others slowed down. By doing so, he not only strengthened himself, but also mentally unsettled his competitors, demonstrating a level of toughness that was impossible to ignore. This act of surpassing expectations became a tool for motivation and dominance, inspiring others while asserting his own inner power. The philosophy extends beyond competition. Taking souls is about embracing adversity, going further than expected, and using your perseverance to redefine what's possible, not just for yourself, but as a lesson to everyone who doubts you. It transforms suffering into a weapon, turning moments of extreme pain into opportunities to assert resilience, courage, and determination. This chapter reinforces Goggins' broader message: true strength is built in the mind. By refusing to quit and pushing beyond the limits of fear and fatigue, you gain mastery over both yourself and the circumstances that seek to break you. Taking Souls teaches that every challenge is an opportunity to rise, inspire, and leave a lasting impact, mentally, emotionally, and physically.
The empowerment of failure. In The Empowerment of Failure, David Goggins reframes failure not as a defeat, but as a catalyst for growth and transformation. Throughout his life, from a troubled childhood to the extreme challenges of Navy SEAL training and ultramarathons, Goggins encountered failure repeatedly. Rather than letting it define him, he learned to use it as a tool to build resilience, sharpen his skills, and strengthen his mind. Goggins explains that most people fear failure and avoid it at all costs. This fear limits potential and keeps individuals trapped in mediocrity. He emphasizes that failure is an essential teacher. It exposes weaknesses, reveals the work that still needs to be done, and provides the fuel to push beyond previously imagined limits. By embracing setbacks, Goggins developed a mindset where every failure became an opportunity to improve and grow stronger. He shares personal experiences of repeated failures, from struggling with weight and academic challenges to failing multiple times during SEAL training. Each time he fell short, he analyzed what went wrong, accepted full responsibility, and returned with renewed determination. Over time, these failures became stepping stones toward extraordinary accomplishments. The chapter highlights that failure is not a signal to quit, it is a call to action. By leaning into discomfort, acknowledging weaknesses, and taking deliberate steps to overcome them, we can transform setbacks into empowerment. Goggins' message is clear. Success is not the absence of failure, but the ability to endure, learn, and rise stronger each time. The empowerment of failure teaches that courage and resilience are forged in adversity, and that embracing failure is one of the most powerful paths to personal transformation and mental mastery.
Talent not required. In Talent Not Required, David Goggins emphasizes that success is rarely determined by innate talent, but by hard work, discipline, and mental toughness. While natural ability can provide a head start, it is often outmatched by sheer effort, persistence, and the willingness to endure pain. Goggins' life is a testament to this principle. Despite numerous disadvantages in childhood, lack of athletic prowess early on, and repeated failures, he achieved elite status as a Navy SEAL and ultramarathon athlete through relentless dedication. Goggins explains that relying on talent alone is a trap, as it fosters complacency and a false sense of security. Instead, he advocates cultivating obsessive work ethic and mental resilience. He details his personal routines of extreme training, pushing past exhaustion, and deliberately seeking challenges that force growth. This approach allowed him to surpass peers who may have been naturally gifted but lacked his discipline. The chapter also highlights the power of mindset. Goggins underscores that anyone willing to embrace suffering, endure discomfort, and maintain unwavering accountability can achieve extraordinary results, even in areas where they initially seem ill-equipped. By focusing on effort over ability and consistency over natural skill, individuals unlock potential far beyond what talent alone could accomplish. Talent not required serves as a reminder that greatness is earned, not given. Goggins' story inspires readers to stop comparing themselves to others, to stop waiting for talent to carry them, and to take full ownership of their personal growth. Hard work, persistence, and mental toughness are the real differentiators, and with them, anyone can overcome limitations and achieve remarkable success.
Uncommon amongst uncommon. In Uncommon Amongst Uncommon, David Goggins explores the idea of pushing beyond elite standards to stand out even among the exceptional. Having already achieved the status of a Navy SEAL, a level of excellence few attain, Goggins refused to settle for being merely good or average within elite circles. He believed that true greatness comes not from meeting standards, but from exceeding them consistently. The chapter recounts Goggins' experiences during the most grueling phases of military training and ultra-endurance challenges. Even among top performers, he sought ways to push further, run harder, and endure longer. This mindset of constantly raising the bar allowed him to cultivate an edge, both physically and mentally, over others who were considered elite. For Goggins, being uncommon amongst uncommon is about refusing complacency and continually challenging oneself regardless of the accomplishments already achieved. Goggins emphasizes that this level of excellence is not about talent, luck, or external validation. It is about relentless self-discipline, accountability, and mental fortitude. By deliberately embracing suffering and pushing beyond perceived limits, individuals develop resilience that sets them apart. The chapter teaches that once the ordinary is mastered, the next step is to push into uncharted territory where few dare to go. Ultimately, uncommon amongst uncommon is a call to action. No matter how accomplished you become, there is always room to grow, to test your limits, and to redefine what is possible. Goggins' journey demonstrates that exceptional achievement is a product of persistent effort, a refusal to quit, and the courage to embrace extreme challenges, proving that anyone willing to endure and push further can stand out even among the best.
The 100-mile race and beyond. In the 100-mile race and beyond, David Goggins takes readers deep into the world of ultra-endurance challenges and the extreme mental and physical demands they require. After surviving Navy SEAL training and developing a calloused mind, Goggins sought new ways to test his limits. He discovered that ultramarathons, often spanning 100 miles or more, were not just races against others, they were tests against the mind itself. Goggins shares vivid accounts of enduring excruciating pain, sleep deprivation, and physical breakdowns during these races. Each step becomes a battle between mind and body, with the mind often screaming to quit long before the body is truly spent. Through these experiences, he illustrates that human potential is far greater than commonly believed, and that suffering, when embraced, becomes a vehicle for growth, resilience, and self-discovery. He also explains the concept of pushing beyond conventional limits by deliberately seeking extreme challenges. Goggins emphasizes that anyone can apply the same mindset in life. By embracing discomfort, confronting fear, and refusing to quit, we can accomplish feats that seem impossible. His races serve as both metaphor and training ground, proving that true growth emerges when we willingly enter discomfort and endure it fully. The chapter underscores a central lesson of Can't Hurt Me. Boundaries are largely self-imposed, and the journey toward excellence demands persistence, discipline, and courage. Whether in endurance sports, military service, or personal challenges, pushing past perceived limits unlocks a deeper understanding of strength, resilience, and potential. The 100-mile race and beyond is a powerful reminder that the extraordinary is attainable for anyone willing to endure, persevere, and confront their fears head-on. It's a call to step into the uncomfortable, knowing that growth lies just beyond pain.
Living with a warrior spirit. In Living with a Warrior Spirit, David Goggins emphasizes that true greatness comes from embracing life with relentless discipline, courage, and mental toughness. A warrior spirit is not about combat or physical strength alone. It's about choosing to confront challenges head-on, embracing discomfort, and refusing to settle for mediocrity in any area of life. Goggins shares personal experiences where adopting a warrior mindset transformed his approach to adversity. From grueling military training to ultra-endurance races, he illustrates how mental resilience and determination enabled him to endure pain, fatigue, and fear far beyond what most consider possible. This warrior mindset allowed him to consistently push past limitations, redefine his boundaries, and achieve feats that seemed impossible. Central to this chapter is the idea that a warrior spirit is deliberately cultivated. It requires daily accountability, self-discipline, and the willingness to face both internal and external obstacles without excuses. Goggins underscores that life will always test us, but by committing to a warrior's path, we transform suffering into fuel, failure into lessons, and fear into action. He also explains that living with a warrior spirit is contagious. It inspires others, sets a standard of excellence, and reinforces the value of persistence. The warrior mindset is not about seeking glory. It is about ownership of your life, resilience in the face of adversity, and the pursuit of constant self-improvement. Ultimately, this chapter reinforces one of Goggins' core messages. Life's challenges are opportunities to cultivate strength, courage, and character. By living with a warrior spirit, we unlock hidden reserves of potential, endure what others cannot, and create a life defined not by limitations, but by relentless pursuit of personal excellence.
The power of visualization and mental rehearsal. In The Power of Visualization and Mental Rehearsal, David Goggins explores how the mind can be trained to achieve extraordinary feats through mental preparation and visualization. He emphasizes that physical endurance and skill alone are rarely enough to conquer extreme challenges. The mind must be primed to expect, endure, and overcome hardship. Goggins shares how he used visualization to prepare for Navy SEAL Hell Week, ultramarathons, and other grueling challenges. By imagining every detail of the task ahead, pain, fatigue, obstacles, and potential failures, he trained his mind to stay calm, focused, and determined when the real challenge arose. Visualization allowed him to anticipate discomfort, rehearse solutions, and develop the mental toughness necessary to persist when the body wanted to quit. Mental rehearsal also helped Goggins push beyond perceived limits. By repeatedly envisioning himself succeeding in situations that seemed impossible, he created a mental roadmap for achievement. This practice turned fear and uncertainty into confidence, allowing him to act decisively under extreme pressure. The chapter teaches that visualization is not daydreaming. It is deliberate, structured mental practice. It empowers individuals to face challenges with clarity, reduce anxiety, and maximize performance. Goggins emphasizes that the mind is often the greatest obstacle, but also the most powerful tool. Ultimately, the power of visualization and mental rehearsal shows that success begins in the mind. By visualizing obstacles, preparing for pain, and mentally rehearsing victory, we can reshape our beliefs about what is possible, endure extreme adversity, and achieve goals that might otherwise seem unattainable. It is a practice that transforms preparation into performance, turning mental strength into real-world results.
Building the cookie jar of victories. In Building the Cookie Jar of Victories, David Goggins introduces a psychological tool he developed to overcome doubt, fear, and pain, the concept of the cookie jar. This mental strategy involves storing memories of past successes, achievements, and moments of perseverance, and then drawing upon them during times of struggle. By recalling these victories, Goggins was able to fuel resilience and push through challenges that seemed impossible. The cookie jar serves as a personal archive of proof that you can endure and succeed, even when the present moment feels overwhelming. For example, during Navy SEAL Hell Week, ultramarathons, or extreme physical training, he would reach into this mental reserve, remembering past hardships he had overcome and victories he had earned. These memories provided motivation, perspective, and the mental strength to continue despite intense discomfort. Goggins emphasizes that the cookie jar is not about arrogance or dwelling on the past. It is about empowerment and accountability. It reminds us of our potential and reinforces the belief that if we have overcome difficulties before, we can overcome them again. The practice also teaches gratitude and acknowledgement of personal growth, transforming past struggles into tools for future triumphs. This chapter highlights the importance of mental preparation and reflection in achieving long-term success.
By intentionally collecting and recalling personal victories, we develop a psychological edge that allows us to endure hardship, maintain discipline, and pursue ambitious goals. Ultimately, building the cookie jar of victories demonstrates that our past achievements are not merely memories. They are weapons against doubt and fatigue, enabling us to confront pain, push beyond limits, and keep moving forward when the mind and body want to quit. It's a strategy for turning experience into unstoppable motivation.
What if? In What If?, David Goggins challenges readers to reimagine their limits and question what is truly possible. Throughout his life, he faced enormous obstacles: abuse, poverty, racism, physical limitations, and repeated failures. But he learned to ask a simple yet powerful question: what if I could? This mindset transformed doubt and fear into motivation and action. Goggins illustrates how embracing the what-if mentality pushed him to attempt challenges that seemed impossible. From becoming a Navy SEAL, despite being overweight and academically behind, to running ultramarathons that tested the boundaries of human endurance, he continually asked himself what he could achieve if he refused to quit and ignored self-imposed limits. The question reframes obstacles as opportunities and shifts focus from limitation to potential. The chapter also emphasizes ownership and personal responsibility. Goggins explains that the what-if mindset requires confronting your fears, accepting past failures, and refusing to let excuses dictate the future. It is not about wishful thinking, but deliberate action, grounded in discipline, mental toughness, and relentless effort. By visualizing possibilities beyond fear and comfort, individuals can tap into reserves of resilience they never realized existed. Ultimately, What If is a call to push beyond perceived limitations and to challenge the boundaries of what is possible. Goggins teaches that our minds often impose arbitrary restrictions, and by daring to ask, "What if I could endure more, achieve more, or transform more?" we open doors to growth, success, and self-mastery. This chapter reinforces a core message of Can't Hurt Me. The only limits that truly exist are the ones we accept, and by confronting them with courage and curiosity, we can achieve extraordinary outcomes.
Listening to Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins is an eye-opening journey into the power of the human mind. This book isn't just a story, it's a blueprint for pushing beyond your limits, embracing pain, and transforming failure into fuel for growth. Goggins shares his raw, unfiltered life experiences, from a traumatic childhood to the grueling challenges of Navy SEAL training and ultramarathons, showing how discipline, mental toughness, and accountability can turn even the hardest struggles into victories. Each chapter challenges you to question your own limits. The 40% rule teaches that most people quit when they've only used a fraction of their potential. The accountability mirror shows that facing yourself honestly is the first step to change. And the cookie jar of victories reminds us that every past success is a weapon to overcome present obstacles. By embracing discomfort, owning your failures, and pushing relentlessly, you discover strength you never imagined.